All right, so Adrian, I'm gonna pass it to you and let you bring your first promo. Go ahead and set that up, and
Okay.
let's see what you got.
All right. Well, I kind of cheated, man. I'm gonna give you guys a 2-for-1. How about that?
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay. First promo is from a gentleman that we're all somewhat familiar with now on the big stage. He's made it officially with WWE. But like Greg has said in previous podcast episodes, we're blessed and fortunate to live in Atlanta, Georgia,
Mhm.
where some great independent wrestling promotions. And one promotion in particular, I definitely want to shout out because this is one of my good, who's grown to become one of my good friends. Mucha Lucha Atlanta, ran by Brother Ricardo, takes care of business. He brings in some great talent,
Mm-hmm.
but he does a hell of a job pairing those established names, those guys that you see regularly on AEW at one point or
Mm-hmm.
another, Ring of Honor at another point, but he pairs them with up and coming guys that are very talented in Atlanta. And through one of those shows, one young guy from Atlanta, he really stood out. He was young. You could tell that he was young. He sounded like a kid, but he looked physically fit. He looked well, but you could tell that he was a kid and still learning. But you could see the potential. And I think we are seeing some great things from him at the highest stage. So, to offset that, I can show you guys a very interesting promo featuring a one Mr. Austin Theory.
Hmm.
I was just in the fight of my life against Joey
Whoa,
Lynch.
my gosh.
Look at that haircut.
But this ain't the
Look
last
how
of
small
Austin
he was,
Theory.
man.
Because I'm a theory, and that means I'm unproven. And no matter what, I can always get better. And that man out there showed me that I can just do that. So, Joey Lynch, this isn't the last you've seen of Austin Theory, because Theory's coming.
Oh. So he's always had that name too. Interesting.
He did. He
Mm-hmm.
did. But you can tell, like I said, you could tell that
Mhm.
he was younger.
Yeah.
You could, but when we're talking on the promo end, not just talking about his performance, because in the ring he was like
Oh
that.
yeah.
You could tell that this was a kid. As soon as WWE gets their hands on him, he's gonna do his thing, right? But on the promo end, and I'll pass this over to y'all more so for the reaction, but my my impression was that he was still not quite comfortable. You could see
Hmm.
you could see he was thinking in his head what he wanted to say, but there was hesitation. It, there wasn't that level of conviction that was like, oh, this guy he's him, like that sort of thing. It wasn't that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Compare that to what we see now on WWE programming, like that just to me that kind of speaks volumes to the whole process of the WWE PC. Like they bring it out of you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He has it. He has it. He has the beginnings of it, but like that's day and night comparing the two, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think one of the things that jumped out at me is that you kind of talked about the confidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had elements of what he
Yes,
wanted to say, like
definitely.
the whole piece of "I'm a theory," which means I'm not done.
Yeah.
Right,
And I'm
right.
like, dude, that was
That
nice.
was good.
I
That
wish it
was a
was
bar.
delivered
That's
different,
a bar,
but
Right.
exactly,
it was
right?
tight. And it was just like that. You could see those nuggets there, man. It's like, oh man, that right there. Like when he said that, I'm like, why didn't he use that now?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was that good. Like the statement was good. Um, but like you said, and then it felt rushed at the end. It was that type of thing that you see it now. It's take your time. It's
Right.
it's you got a certain amount of time. Um, and kind of jumping back to that coaching thing, right? I know of people who've been trained and they were taught 45 seconds, 1 minute, 1 minute and
Yes.
30.
Mm.
And I'm kind of curious to know if in that case right there, did he have a time frame? Did he not have a time frame or
And
whatever?
that's a good point because again that was post match, so I will give him that
Hmm.
awful haircut he had was not by design. He was fresh off of match against Joey Lynch, and I was there at that match, And one thing they do is they'll do the post match promo and
Mhm.
they try to squeeze it. They try to squeeze it to that 35 to 45
Okay.
second range. So
Right.
that is a great point. Adelie, what are your thoughts on that promo?
So the whole time I'm watching it, I can't.
Mhm.
I'm just looking at his facials because nowadays he's a cartoon character. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at an action figure, the pose they chose, it's him like holding his wide mouth, and it's the most
Mhm.
cartoonish thing. You look at this promo, his eyes never move.
Right.
His eyes, his you know his eyebrows are static. His eyes are just looking directly at the screen. His
That's a
mouth
great
has a
point.
little more animation, but there isn't that sense of like, hey, let me stand in front of the mirror and work this character out. And I know that's oftentimes something that I've heard from from different coaches. I think Regal even might have mentioned something like that. Like,
Mm.
practice your promos in front of the mirror so that you can see exactly what the screen is going to see. And that's not there yet, but again, the conviction is there because I can see this scrawny kid right now, but there's some potential. Obviously, you see him wrestle back then, and obviously it's undeniable.
Mhm.
But it really stands out to me how much he's come in terms of recognizing how to emote just
Mhm.
through facials, and it's really
Mhm.
incredible.
That's a really good point. Just to piggyback off of that, or with a question rather, Ali, is there a wrestler that you can say emotes the best when it comes to cutting a promo? Like someone whose fa- facial reactions you're just locked in based on their
Yeah.
reactions.
So I'm gonna give you a twofer. I'm gonna throw one back, an old school
Okay.
one, and I'm gonna give you a modern one. Old school, I guess, not that long ago. Foley, Mick
Okay.
Foley.
Okay.
Mick Foley had to work through that mask as mankind, right? And started off as this very serious, woe is me, the world is against me, you know, this beast, like Hunchback almost of Notre Dame, and
Mm.
then develops into this comedy character that has to do physical actions and the Rock and Sock connection. So to me, Foley is a master of taking your character, whether it was Dude Love, Mankind, whether it's himself as a commissioner,
Mm.
and using this physicality sometimes to violent ends, right? But also to comedic ends and to nuance ends, and really make me invested in what he's going to do next, right? From a
Mm.
promo standpoint. If I had to go with a modern take on a kind of a pro wrestler. It's a twofer. I'm a big Danhausen guy, so that but he has his own niche more specifically
Right.
because he has a lot
Mhm.
going on, and he very very well knows his character. Because if you take off that makeup, honestly, he blends into a crowd.
Yeah.
You will not know
Yeah.
who this guy is.
Right.
And Adrian, actually, you sent me a picture like, do you recognize who he is? And
Right.
because I'm a huge fan, I'm like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's Danhausen. It's him with his wife with no makeup on.
Mm-hmm.
But once he straps on the paint, this guy is incredible because, again, to Greg's point, because he's developed this character over YouTube, he's had to work within this box,
Mm.
Mhm.
right? And he's learned to emote. He's developed. It's interesting because that character started off so a throwback kind of evil, kind of like, and he introduced the comedy aspect, and I mean it's brilliant. It's brilliant what he does. So for me, that would be more of the kind of the modern take of knowing how your promo is, and
Mm-hmm.
also, sorry, to Greg's point, the 45-second promo versus, hey, you got 20 seconds. Hey, we're going to give you 5 minutes out there, and knowing what to do with it. I don't think he's a 5 minute guy, but
Mm-hmm.
I think he knows this character really well.
What about you, Greg? Who do you have?
From a facial perspective,
Mm-hmm.
um, as you were saying that, I was trying to think of different people, but the one I just settled on is the Miz
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
because he
Hmm.
reacts to everything somebody's saying, whether he's
Mm-hmm.
interviewing him on Miz TV and he's not really involved,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's somebody he's cutting the promo on. He has facials that mean something,
Mm.
and a lot of times, um, the way he looks, like the thing about what you mentioned, Austin Theory looking directly at the camera the whole time. Whereas if you watch Miz, he doesn't.
He
And a
works the
lot of those
room.
guys don't look at the camera until it's time to look at that camera.
Mm.
Yeah.
And but Miz has those facials. Some of the greatest facials were always Regal,
Yeah.
That's true.
And I mean,
Yes.
he could react to anything. Um, and it was just like, man, and there were comedy sometimes, and
Hmm.
sometimes it was just like smugness. Um, but it was never all the body language, like all that, I have to jump up and down type of thing. It was just that in
Right.
that face was right there.
That's a good one.
And I love your call out from Foley because doing that through the mask is very difficult. And I think he did a great job with that. But the other one that jumped out at me, and I just want to go back old school, thinking about promos and the facial, pre-Sting, pre-Crow, Surfer
Yeah.
Sting.
Mm.
Never a polished promo, but his facials and his excitement came through,
Yeah.
which grabbed us, which grabbed the kids, which grabbed all of us and made us fans of Surfer Sting when we didn't really need to be fans of that character, right? Um, but it was kind of like he grabbed you because of he did sell it. He sold whatever he was talking about through his facials.
If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, look us up on socials at Suplex Dinner Club. And be sure to check out our other projects. We talk college football on Dogs versus All Y'all. That's a weekly college football podcast where we don't just talk about the Georgia Bulldogs, we talk about all things college football. The Life and Times Pod, which is short for the Life and Times of a Restaurant Lifer podcast, where I have some chill conversations with some cool and interesting people that I've met in my years in the hospitality industry. And of course, check out Talk 'em in the Building. That's a pro wrestling podcast where we solely focus on the promo. We talk about the talkers, we hype the hype man, and we pontificate on the promo. It's a fun project, and if you're a pro wrestling fan, I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. If you're into TV and movie reviews, check out Four Corners Cinema with Ari and Adrian, a podcast where two lifelong pro wrestling fans review film and other forms of media that just so happen to have some of our favorite pro wrestlers. The Suplex Dinner Club family is growing, and I would love for you to be a part of it.